Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Again, I bring back my partner, Ellis Whitehead from the agency Data Brill. You've heard him on the show a few times. He's also a guest of ours at Seller Sessions Live, which is brought to you by Thrasio. So what we're going to talk about today, we've been chatting off the call, and basically we're going to be talking about how we integrate brand analytics with PPC data and how you can do some of this for yourself. So without further ado, Ellis, do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself?
Sure. My name is Ellis. I did my background originally was in computer science and biology or medical technology, and I went on and did my PhD research in software and robot-driven experiments in biology labs.
Yes.
And on working on yeast cells. And so this was this happened to segue very well into PPC because we need to be driving, or I saw that we could drive PPC campaigns and construct them through some of the same kinds of approaches where you use software to design these experiments to try to reach, some sort of optimum. And you bring the results back into the software to construct the next set of experiments and trying to construct the campaigns for optimal performance.
Sounds good. So for the last few months, we've been using brand analytics at the agency. You've been coding and integrating that into our dashboards for our clients.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little bit of background? Everyone knows what brand analytics is. Most people have access to their account as long as they've got brand registry in the territory that is relevant to where the market they're selling in. But just to give a brief overview, how we're using it, and then we can start to pick apart some of the metrics and the benefits.
Sure. So first of all, even though most people will know what the brand analytics is, what we see is that very few people take advantage of it.
Yes.
So in the United States market, the brand analytics report has about a million different keywords in it. And the millionth keyword is only getting a handful of searches a day. And there are a lot more than 1 million keywords that people are searching for on Amazon. And so as you get to the bottom of that list, a keyword that might be on the brand analytics report today because it got enough searches might not be on there tomorrow. And so you have this changing set of keywords, and you can get the reports from Amazon either on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. And we're using the daily reports for ours because it gives us more data. But of course, you have to be looking through a lot more data if you're looking through all the daily, 30 times more data if you're looking through daily reports than monthly reports. The monthly and quarterly reports are just fine if you want to look through them.
But do you want to explain it? Because we obviously, because I questioned you, like, okay, we're going to extract this data, we'll pull it into the system, not in technical terms, you supply that. But what is the difference between pulling data on a daily basis versus weekly and monthly so the audience understands?
Well, the advantage of pulling it on a daily basis is that you get a lot more keyword data about the ones about the longer tail ones, the ones that are often dropping off the report. So by downloading the daily reports, we're able to, see more of longer tail keyword activity. Another thing is that you can see some of the movements in certain keywords on a week, dependent on the weekday. That's generally not of too much value, but it is an added advantage.
Cool. And obviously, if you're not doing this manually and you're programming, it's a different story because you're automating a lot of the processes here to take out some of the grunt work. Cool. Right. So we pull the data in. What are we using it for now? And where are the benefits of this?
So the benefits we found to be really significant. By using this data, you can get a sense for how how popular the search terms are. And what we find is that like we use often the auto campaigns as a first, as one of our ways of finding the keywords that we want to be using. And it's only, what we then found though, is that a very significant number of the relevant keywords we're not getting sales on them through the auto campaigns. And we've always suspected this, and this is why we found the using tools like Jungle Scout and Helium 10 to get to do some keyword research in the beginning, that's always been important to us. But now we have just really concrete data showing that if you're relying on auto campaigns, you are missing a tremendous percentage of the more popular keywords in all likelihood.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things. The other thing is for like if you go to Jungle Scout and Helium 10 and you do the keyword research based, basically you get way too many keywords back from those tools.
Yeah.
And you can easily have them 3,000 keywords that they return to you. And going through that is a very tedious task.
Yes.
And so there are ways to refine this process or get it narrowed down and more focused much more quickly. And so we use a combination of two things. One of them is we're looking at which of the ASINs are your closest competitors. So this is manual work that we do. And we usually do it with the, or at least partially with the client. And then we can look into the brand analytics report for these most relevant ASINs. And then that gives us back the keywords that they're ranking for. And so you can then sort of rate those keywords that are coming back for their relevance. And you can take the most relevant ones and again find more competitors. And so there's this kind of back and forth process.
Yeah.
Another thing that is useful is taking so that doesn't always give us everything we want. Another useful thing for more long tail keywords is looking at Amazon's recommended keywords for PPC. And so we'll mix that in as well, because those can sometimes give us good longer tail keywords that actually are not necessarily showing up on the brand analytics reports, but they still have enough volume to be relevant for some of our clients, for some products for some of our clients. Or they're not showing up regularly in the brand analytics reports. So that's the main approach. And what we find is that it gets us a really good, rich set of, I mean, when I say rich, I mean more powerful set of keywords. So this helps us see, not based, like Helium 10 will give you their search volume estimates, and what we get with brand analytics, however, those are estimates, and they're based on a number of factors that have a lot of there's a lot of guesswork in them. By using the brand analytics reports, it takes the guesswork totally out of it. You know whether or not this keyword is popular. You see its popularity ranking. You don't get a search volume estimate from it, but by looking at it, by working with the data, you get a gut feeling for it that that's good.
Yeah. And so we also use that to measure in terms of ranking highest performing keywords on a campaign level. Is that right? With some of the accounts that we'll match them off to what's in the reports, and then we can make estimates from there. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Well, there are a few ways we use that. I think the the two most important ways are to see the potential that the keywords that we are making sales on, what's their potential?
Yeah.
So if we see that we are ranking, you know, our ASINs are ranking at the top. We have, say, position 1 in the brand analytics reports for that keyword.
Yeah.
Then we can be pretty certain we can't get much higher.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we've already exhausted the limits for that keyword. If, on the other hand, we see that we are, you know, we're not ranking in the top 3 in the brand analytics report, and we're perhaps nowhere close to it, but it's a really relevant keyword for us, then we can see maybe there's something we're not taking advantage of there. And that, you know, that gives us clues for where do we need to push, or perhaps are there things that we need to change in our listing.
Makes sense. And some of the mixture of the metrics together. So obviously we're measuring total ACOS, conversion rates, everything, right? So we run dashboard and everything else. How do they, when you map these into the dashboard, how are you cross-referencing these in terms of optimization?
Well, we're pulling the PPC data in, and we're pulling the brand analytics data in at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that way we can show, you know, we see the data in like the same row. That said, there is there are two things to consider here. One of them is that your PPC keywords are not the same as search term keywords.
Yeah.
And so in what you need to do is take your PPC keyword and the brand analytics keyword and what you might call minimize them or strip them. So you turn the plurals into singulars and you get rid of prepositions and I mean, just these kind of short words that Amazon ignores for PPC, like
stop words. So get rid of all the stop words.
Yeah. And this is not, if you're doing it manually, it's not a perfect process because Amazon doesn't replace all plurals with their singular forms, but it does do most of them. And so, you know, you need to use a little bit of caution in how you do that. Otherwise, you might end up mixing data together. But if you're selling, what's the word, like pads for mice?
Yeah.
Okay, and you know it's meant for the computer mouse.
Yeah.
The PPC minimize form is pad mouse. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Maybe mice and mouse are different in Amazon, but let's assume that that it replaces the plural with the singular. So pad mouse, and so you'd be whether if you might have multiple keywords in your Amazon PPC campaigns, you might have pads for mice, pads for mouse, pad for mouse, pad for mice, pad mice, pad mouse. All this, they all need to be kind of added to or aggregated together so that you're looking at their statistics all together, because Amazon sees those keywords all as the same keyword.
Yes.
And so when you go and you're trying to match the brand analytics data over to your PPC data, you need to do the same minimization on the brand analytics data and then add any overlapping minimized forms together, and then you can cross-reference them.
So when you cross-references, so just to break this out quickly, we're going to take two sets of data. You've got your PPC, you've got your brand analytics, you're washing these search terms together, you're removing the stop words, so you've got well-rounded search terms that are kind of matching off of it against each other because they're related. So we're removing the plurals, and then you're taking that data, and when you're stacking up, you're adding up as a total. So if it's suggested search volume, etc. How are you dealing with stuff in terms of when you're looking at your brand analytics data? As long as those keywords are appearing in the top 3 slots at generating the report, and you washing that against the PPC data, what are you looking for in terms of click-through rate, for instance, matching off against that keyword? What are some of the trends that you look for? This is working, or maybe we need to adjust bids here. Is there anything specific that you look for?
Yeah, so that's a good question. With regard to click-through rate, we're not actually doing anything like algorithmically with click-through rate.
Yeah.
It's a valid statistic to look at.
It's an indicator, isn't it? It's that first step indicator. If people click and going through, it's a good indicator. There's popularity in and around that product, and then you build on that.
Yeah, the reason we stopped using it, and we might implement it again in the future. So it would be good to be able to use it, because it does have its value, definitely. But the reason we stopped using it was because we found that there were enough differences in what are good click-through rates for different niches that we couldn't generalize across all of our clients.
Right.
And so the reason is because, an example is if you have a very expensive product and there's a lot of competition, then people are going to usually do a lot of window shopping before they purchase. And they might shop for a couple months before they purchase. And in this case, a good click-through rate might be relatively low.
Yeah.
So people are going to be less likely to click on the high price products, for example. Yeah. And you might also have a very low conversion rate on this product that is also, for this particular type of product, actually good. So for certain products, a 2% conversion rate is a healthy conversion rate. Normally, we're looking at, not for top of search, but just in general for search, we're looking at, kind of as a rule of thumb, 10% is a good conversion rate, and 1% is perfectly fine as a click-through rate.
Yeah.
That said, makes a huge difference about the placement. So if we're talking about top of search, then a click-through rate of 1% would be horrendous. But when you start figuring in the auto campaigns and the advertising on other product ASINs that's done by the auto campaigns, you expect a very low click-through rate.
Yeah.
And it's because, so many ads are displayed, the user can't just keep going through and clicking on all of those. So naturally, and just by nature of how many ASINs are displayed on product pages, you're going to have a low click-through rate.
Cool. Sounds good. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
No, I think we covered it fairly well.
Sounds good. Guys, if you're looking for PPC management, feel free to get in contact. You go to sellersessions.com/case-studies. See some of the studies there. Check out Ellis and I and our team and some background on what we do. Ellis will also be at Seller Sessions Live. He's a panelist on May 9th. You can still grab tickets. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and then I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.